Well, I'm guessing it was 1992, since we moved in 1991, and Lib and Charlie Crooker, who were our neighbors, came to visit. And Lib took one look at our living room and our porch and said, this would be a great place for Over the Hill Hiker meetings. And so we became Over the Hill Hikers.
And I think the time we walked into Carter Hut and Lib looked up at the young hut master and said, well, the first time I came here was 73 years ago. I was 3 years old. And she'd come up in her father's backpack. And I thought, that poor young man, he didn't know what to make of her. But of course her father was the legendary hut master at Carter Hut. And the night he died, there were stories about how windows opened and doors opened and shut. All kinds of funny things went on. So Red McGregor. So Lib came by all this knowledge naturally. Yeah.
It provided, as a group, a focus for doing things. I probably, if it hadn't been for the Over the Hill Hikers, I would have probably not done these hikes. When we used to come up here before we moved here, we would hike some as a family, but I think it was the fact that we sort of had Tuesdays and Fridays were devoted to doing things as a group, and we enjoyed the the camaraderie and the parties and social aspects of it as much as the physical activity.
It really was a very special group to us. As I say, it was our social life, and it got us physically in much better shape than we were when we came. But I thought, oh, these are old people. I can keep up with them, But they just always had a steady pace. One foot in front of the other. There were very few breaks, and it was like, after a while, I said, oh, okay, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I use the word magical, really, Tracy. It was, for me, and excluding Burris and all these other things, they were probably the happiest 15 years of my life. Either Lib or Bill said Bill closed his business on Tuesdays. There was no dentistry done on Tuesday. If it was Tuesday, we go hiking. And Lib was the backbone of this whole kit and caboodle.
Well, I have really enjoyed the experiences I got largely through the Friday walkers and the Friday skiers, learning about the immediate area of Sandwich and walking along roads and by houses and getting a story, the story or the history of that house or the family that used to live there or whatever the case might be. But I feel it's something I couldn't have gotten any other way. Right?
Yes, I hiked the 52 with a view. Again, I've hiked some of those a few times, but I think, well, I don't know whether it's still true, but I was one of the first to complete my 100th highest by hiking the 52 with a view first. And then I did the 48 4,000 footers. So. And I remember I finished my 52 with a view on Middle Sister. And my wife Donna had met us at the trailhead, which was on the Kank, with ice cream for us to share with the hikers, which Guthrie Spears remembered and was the highlight of that hike to him.
I guess I first began in 1955, the year we were married, because we came up here for at least a week of the summer, and I think that was my first trip up Lafayette then. And then every year we would usually add another one by one, but it really wasn't until 1992. So it took me almost 40 years to complete the 48, just because we kept, the summers when we were here, we kept doing the same ones that we loved, like Lafayette, over and over. And the thought of moving on took a long time. And then all of a sudden it sort of bites and you get curious and you think, oh, I really have only 10 more to go. You know, I can do that.
Neither one of us are peak baggers.
Again, we're.
I think I got down to maybe having 6 more or so, but they all had rocky cliffs, which I don't like.
Yeah, we hiked the ones that we liked, and some of them we've been back a number of times, but there are others that, you know, if it was just to check off a box, no.
No, it was 1999, excuse me. I did it in 3 years. And one time was enough for me, and Owl's Head and Isolation, and a few of those did not require my second attendance. And yes, I did complete the 48 4,000 footers with a lot of help and encouragement from many, many good friends.
Probably the favorite hike was, I guess it was Kerrigan, a 4,000 footer. It was nice and good. I think Jim Twaddle and I did it together. And what I liked about it, it was essentially, you know, views of almost, you know, many of the mountains we were climbing. So it was sort of a panoramic of the entire area.
As I said, Lib was very adamant that when you finished your 48 and when you finished your 52 of the view that you did some type of party. Well, it had to be a party anyway, so. About the only one I can remember is we had gone through the gates into the fairground, and there was a guy stomping on, or chomping, I should say, on his cigar with a pot belly that would have done anybody proud. He says, "That looks like my group over the hill. I could handle that." And all of us who heard it giggled and said, "Little does he know, you know." But,
I don't know who started that, but I think there was a strong feeling that we're one of the interesting institutions in this town, and we should be represented in that parade. And I think from start to finish, when this group of, a lot of them white-haired people, turned up with their packs and had their little stick routine, it made a great hit with the crowds along the street and into the fairgrounds. Yep. And we were very proud of our blue ribbons. Mm-hmm. And we had Penny Patu, Olympic medalist, doing all the planning, so she knew just the nice hotels to go to. And it was a wonderful way to mix up with not just the people you ordinarily hiked with, but everybody else. My neighbors, Mary and Alan Simmons, were very much part. And some of the people who used to hike with a group, but through age and debility were no longer hiking, but they came along on the trip, and that was great. Yeah.
and the last one that Penny led was to Schroons, Austria. And of course, over there, you get on a trolley and you go up the first X thousand feet, all without thing. And then, of course, the walking, Bill and Claire and Sue and Fred had all warned me that when you get over there, it's just like walking on a highway. You're not going to run into roots. You're not going to run into stones. You're just going to be on nice, flat surfaces. You go.
It did rain, though, 13 days out of 15. It was, and we went out every day. Absolutely every day we did something. We took one day off, I guess, for some sightseeing.
Yeah.
But
Even the Germans had left And the only people in the hotel when we got through was the over-the-hill hikers. Showed up every morning, ready to go. The hotel owner asked Penny, "Who are these people?"
I think that has something to do with Jane Harrington. She became known as the missionary because she was bringing all this wonderful group of people from Molten Borough whom she just infected with the delights of hiking. And so if she was the missionary, then she kept saying I had to have some term. And so it became the matriarch since I was so elderly, you know. Yeah, I was very often, I guess you'd say, the sort of MC or interlocutor, and we would string together a series of skits. And usually, most of the skits were kindly roasts.
I did some of the skits, but then I get kicked out because of my voice. I was asked just to be an actor rather than a singer.
Let's see, we're the turtles, we're the turtles, we don't climb high, we don't climb high, never equal book time, never equal book time, not a crime, not a crime. Lower and slower is our theme. Always stop for ice cream, always stop for ice cream, that's our scheme. Remember who won the race, remember who won the race, not the hare, not the hare. Hiking slow and steady, hiking slow and steady gets us there.
All right, so we did Flume and Liberty today. I did my 8th 4,000 footer, and they tell me I'm going to do Cannon next week, which I'm not sure which one of these is Cannon, but they tell me that's, oh, they tell me I'm going to do that one next week.